Rugby is a multifaceted game in which players are asked to perform a substantial range of skills. Players of different sizes, shapes and abilities are able to partake and perform well within the structure of a 15-man team. In these coaching videos, we will show the key factors of the components which make up the dynamic game of rugby, plus ideas on how they should be practiced and used in a game situation. For example, passing, kicking, catching, running and tackling in the game of rugby today. From here we move on to mini-unit skills, where relationships and understanding of each other's play are vital components. For example, halfback and fly half, winger and fullback, thrower and jumper, just being some of the many units within the game. In other unit skills, players are then joined into two separate units, the forwards, who are involved in the scrums, lineouts, rucks and mauls, and the back line, participating in attack and defence activities. For team patterns, the two units should then work together, forwards and backs, working to complement each other's various strengths and weaknesses in an effort to achieve the ultimate aim of the game, to score points. For tactics, you may need to make minor changes for 1, your opponent's ability, 2, the weather or ground conditions, 3, rules or local safety laws. Finally, at all times during training, you as the coach should insist on a very high standard of practice. The goal is for the team to train as they intend to play the game. The spotting of technical failings and then applying the appropriate corrections are an important coaching skill. Good luck with your coaching. It should be rewarding and enjoyable for everybody.
Keep it on, walk it up, walk it up. Good work, good work. Bring it up.
The objective today is to build a scrum right from each of the front row positions through to the locks, the middle row, and then the number 8. We'll do it in such a way that we construct a scrum piece by piece so that the people watching or viewing the video will understand how a scrum is pieced together. Once we've done that, we'll deal with problem areas either in specific units of the scrum or at the very end. We'll then talk about the scrum as a unit and channeling of the ball, and we'll talk about defence patterns off the scrum. The hooker, when he starts assembling the scrum, will move into a semi-crouch position and wait for his props to come and bind. First of all, the loose head prop binds, then the tight head prop binds, immediately having bound, the inside shoulders of the two props are square so that the spines of both props remain in a line pushing straight ahead. Note the positioning of the front row. Before the engagement, they are in a crouch position. The loose head prop binds firmly over the back. The tight head prop binds second. The position of the arms of the hooker can be in a mid-body position, or if he wants his own shoulder to sit higher on the shoulders of the prop, he may prefer to move his hands up the body of the prop that he's binding on to get a higher shoulder position. Note the binding of the blue and white hooker compared to the binding of his opposite. Note from this angle when the hooker moves his grip from down the body to further up the body, how his shoulder moved slightly forward onto the square shoulder of his prop, putting him in a stronger scrumming position if that is his preference. After the engagement, the front five should squeeze together and keep the pressure on the opposition. Once engagement has occurred, the 2 feet of both props should be shoulder width apart and in a line. Note how the tight head prop's outside foot went back to that position. Hooker to the mark early. Hooker in a crouched position. Loose head prop to bind first. Tight head prop to bind second. Front row in a crouched and ready position. The 2 locks will bind on the lower part of the upper body, with the taller lock always binding over the top. The binding is firm so that the lower and upper arm of both locks can lock, ready for the squeeze. The taller lock generally binds over the top, but the preference is always left to the locks. They should always bind together tightly. After the binding has occurred, the 2 locks approach the scrum and the inside knees go to ground. The binding occurs through the legs, with the lock getting a very firm purchase on the jersey of the prop he's binding on, so that the shoulder comes right in and locks against the backside of the prop. Right, as the props approach the locks approach the scrum, the inside knees go to ground. Once they have their grip, and prior to the engagement, they bring their knees off the ground, ready for the hit. Go down on the inside knee. Bind onto the prop firmly. Lock the shoulder firmly onto the buttock of the prop. Immediately the hit has occurred, the outside foot of the lock must purchase, or must get purchase, where the feet are shoulder width apart and in a line. It is the outside foot of the lock that stops the scrum from wheeling. Feet should be shoulder width apart. Knees must be bent in the ready position to push. The outside foot should remain fixed to prevent the scrum from wheeling. The loose forward may wish to start with his inside knee on the ground, level with his foot. That places his outside foot in the correct position, ready for the engagement. When he has that position, he then lifts his knee off the ground, waiting for the hit. And once the hit has occurred, he then moves the inside foot forward into a position of readiness to move quickly from the side of the scrum. Note how the loose forwards are on the scrum, ready to drive the front row into the opposition. The number 8 can bind between the two locks with his feet also shoulder width apart. His other alternative is to bind between the lock and the loose forward, particularly when the ball is being put in that side of the scrum. In these examples, see the two different positions taken up by the number 8s. The flankers should be attached to the scrum before the engagement. The flanker should drive the prop straight into the scrum. He should be ready to leave the scrum quickly. And the number 8 can bind between the two locks or between the lock and the flanker. Note the position of the tight head prop, who must be 6 inches ahead of the loose head prop in his team. Tight head prop, 6 inches ahead of the loose head prop in his team. This is important because after the engagement, the scrum will remain still. If the loose head prop is level with the tight head prop, it makes the scrum wheel the side of each of the loose head props as they engage, wheeling to the right. We want to avoid this. Note the angle of the blue and white team's front row, while the defending team's front row is flat. After engagement, the prop's feet should be in a line and shoulder width apart. If the outside foot is forward prior to engagement, it should go back immediately engagement has taken place. The inside foot should remain firmly on the ground. Right, to commence with, we're going to start with the two props. The tight head prop, who sits on the right-hand side of the scrum, and the loose head prop, who occupies the left-hand berth on his side of the scrum. First of all, we're going to deal with the loose head prop. If you wouldn't mind turning and facing now. The loose head prop must know how to use the muscle groups of the head, neck, shoulder, lower and upper arm. If a loose head prop goes in without those muscle groups being locked, that is the result that you'll get in the scrum, and that can be a dangerous scrum. A loose head prop must learn how to lock the head, shoulder and upper arm muscle groups like that, so that it is locked tight and offers strength to his upper body grip when he goes into the scrum. Let's now have a look at the relaxed grip, and then we'll have a look at the lock grip once he goes into his position. Go lower. Now you can see here where as soon as he gets a low elbow grip on this sloppy position, that it is a dangerous position for the loose head prop to be in. In this example, this man tries to lower the other man, but to little effect. He has got a much stronger grip because he has locked the head, shoulder and upper arm. There are 4 grips that the loose head prop will use. The first, as demonstrated here, is a short grip, generally preferred by props with a short back and with shorter arms. He may also then choose a medium grip or a long grip. or the fourth grip is to go back onto his knee to offer stability should his side of the scrum be on the verge of collapsing. There are 4 types of grips: the short grip, the medium grip, the long grip, and the grip where the loose head prop goes back onto his knee. The preference of the grip depends upon the stature or physical makeup of the prop. The second grip, particularly with a tight head prop with short arms, is to take a grip on the upper arm of his opponent, or the third preferred grip is to take a deeper upper body position but go underneath the body, and in this position he can do it with a high elbow or with a low elbow. But note, with both of those options, he did not lower his shoulder, and it is illegal for him to do so. There are 3 types of grips: the upper body grip, on the upper arm, or underneath the armpit of the loose head prop. Do not lower your shoulder below the hips, and tight head props should lead the engagement into the scrum. Immediately after the scrum has engaged, the locks and props squeeze, and that holds the scrum tight.